Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel here, Just Simply Sports with me. I am Kaja. If you're new to my channel, I welcome you. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Don't do anything until you hit the like and subscribe button right now, you guys. Aaron Rodgers. It's always up with Aaron Rodgers. It's everything but him signing the contract and then getting ready for the upcoming season, right? So he finally spoke out about his separation from the Jets, and here's what he had to say.
I think we're going to have this long conversation. I've flown across the country, and 20 seconds in, he goes, literally, I'm talking to the GM about something, and he leans to the edge of his seat and goes, so do you want to play football? I was like, yeah, I'm interested. And he said, we're going a different direction at quarterback. And I said, and I was kind of shocked. Now, not shocked because I didn't think that was a possibility. Listen, of course, they want to move on. That's totally fine. But shocked because I just flew across country. You could have told me this on the phone. If we weren't even going to have a conversation, and this is verbatim exactly how it happened. So I said, huh? And he goes, we just want to know how you want it released, the messaging. And I said, why? And then he said, I don't want to be up in front of the room saying something and have guys looking back at you. Interesting. And I said, what does that even mean? Are you assuming that I would be in the back of the room during a team meeting, undermining what you're saying? I said, you don't know me. And he said, you don't know me. And then I said, exactly, which is why I flew across the country to have a face-to-face meeting with you to talk about my experience with the Jets and to hear your vision for the team. 20 seconds in. What I thought was going to be a couple-hour meeting turned into like a 15-minute meeting.
All right, so when I first heard about what happened, I was like, whoa, that is disrespectful, because I had read it online. I didn't actually hear Aaron Rodgers and what he had to say and then the context behind it. Context is always so much better than just reading something or seeing a clip, right? I always love context because context matters. So after thinking about it, I'm like, okay, would Aaron Rodgers have felt better if Aaron Glenn had called him on the phone and said, hey, we're not going to call you back. You know what I mean? You can go. We'll find somebody else. Would that have been more disrespectful? Sending an email, a text message on Zoom. To me, I feel like it was respectful of him to invite him in to say, hey, look, this is what we decided, but he's making it a big deal that he flew in on his own dime. I mean, you are a multimillionaire. I doubt that your flight costs that much. You definitely can afford it. But aside from that, I know he said that, if that was the case and I thought we were going to have a conversation about it, that I understand. And I do feel like if there wasn't going to be a conversation, then don't start off by asking him if he still wants to play football. Because if he said, yeah, I'm ready to start today, I want to do this, I want to do that. If 20 seconds in, you were going to ask him that question and then say, hey, you know what, we're going to go in a different direction. Like, why'd you even start the conversation off and ask him that? But to assume that there would be, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Glenn conflict, the two Aarons, and guys would be deferring to Aaron Rodgers in the back of the team meeting, that's a big assumption. And Aaron says, hey, you don't know me. He says, well, you don't know me. I didn't say I know you. You're implying that you know me and what's going to happen if I was to stay on as a starting QB. That part to me didn't make any sense. But then I said, you know what? People talk. So perhaps maybe Aaron Glenn had some conversations with some teammates, in the previous coaching staff and other heads in the building. And that's what led him to believe that. Because you don't come to that kind of conclusion without having heard something or some things from multiple people that made him say, look, it's going to be one band, one sound. You know what I mean? One voice here. It's going to be my voice, and that's all. There's not going to be any confusion or any conflict here. And I understand Aaron Glenn, being a head coach, in the Jets, the organization's been in complete disarray for a while. I understand that he wants to come in and assert, this is going to be his thing, I will say to Aaron Glenn, I hope that doesn't offend guys, because you're still leading men and you have men that make probably more money than you. So you want to be careful about coming in like, this is my ship, you know what I mean? And what I say goes, because you want guys to want to buy into what you're selling. They want to buy into you want them to buy into your message your vision for the team, what you plan to do or how you want to run things going forward because they don't buy in. People, we see it all the time. You see coaches that come in and they might have their vision, but if the players are not buying into it and you have a locker room that's divided or they're not paying you any mind, they don't respect you, it's never going to work in spite of how much talent you have on that roster and having, Justin Fields as the starting QB. Um, what's Aaron Rodgers? Um, like, I don't know if he expected that he would still stay on as a starting QB with the way things have gone, with the coaches that have been fired, the OC that got, demoted, you brought your people in, that still didn't work. He should have known he wasn't going to stay on there. And I would think he would want a fresh, clean break. But I don't think that what he did was disrespectful because you come in, I think having you come in face to face and then asking you like, hey, how do you want to put this message out there? That is a respect because we can just say, look, Aaron Rodgers, you could have found out going across breaking news, right? Because that has happened before. We found out that people have been fired, like going across ESPN, like breaking news, or, from Adam Schefter, Aaron Schefter, sources say that, the Jets have released Aaron Rodgers. And that to me would have been more disrespectful than having him come in and talk to him face to face. I think man to man, having you come in, I'm sitting you down as a man, I'm looking in your face and saying, hey, this is not going to work. We're going to go someplace else. I don't think doing it on the phone or via text message would have made it any easier to swallow for someone like Aaron Rodgers, who seems to be a little bit prideful just from what I see on the outside looking in. So I respect that he wanted to do it face to face. And if you thought we were going to have this long conversation, no, there's no need for us to come in and then would it have been better? Okay, let's just think about it. We're going to have this long conversation, right? I'm going to tell you what my vision is for the team, what I'm thinking, just to say at the end of this 5 hour, 6 hour conversation, it's not going to be with you though. Like to me, that would have made things even more crazy. Like what? This is not the Steelers, right? We're not going to sit here with you for 6, 7, 8, 9 hours if we know that you're not going to be our guy. It doesn't make sense to waste your time, waste my time. But I do think there was no medium here. I think anything other, no matter how you're being, there's no good way to say we don't want you. You know what I mean? Like in a relationship, your boyfriend, like he tells you in person at dinner, I want to move on. It's not you, it's me. Like, you're like, you want me to dinner? And if he tells you in a text message, you're like, girl, he broke me up in a message. He didn't even tell me face to face. You know what I mean? He's a coward. How we women are. You know what I mean? So there's no good way to say goodbye, so to speak, but there is a respectful way. And it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And it's not, for me, it's not what you do, but it's the way you do things. I think this is about as good as respectful as it could have been, given that they were going to go with someone else. Now we know it's Justin Fields. But I will say for Aaron Rodgers, and even for me, like I'm not Aaron Rodgers, but you want to be someplace that people want you. And if you're not wanted there, then that's okay, But the Steelers want you. They haven't signed anybody else. They're waiting for you. And he said also in that interview with Pat McAfee that he's not holding them hostage. He told them if they want to move on, that's okay. Whatever. You know what I mean? But you haven't flat out said, I'm not interested. So if you want to play football, and by the way, when he asks you, you say, yes, I'm interested. Like, what does that mean? Yes, I'm interested. Just say, yeah, I want to play. Like that sounds more like sounds more inviting, more appeasing to the ear, if you will. But if you do have an interest in playing, and I would think that you don't want to end your career like how the last 2 years have gone, especially this last season for you. Like you want to end on a high at the very least. And the Steelers are a great organization. They've brought some great pieces in on offensive line. I like how they did Russ, but they have made some nice moves. You know what I mean? If you're going to win, we're going to go for it. The time is now. And what other option is there for you out there? Minnesota said they're going to go with JJ. They said they weren't going to go. They're not going with you. They decided they're going to go with JJ. So you don't want to go there and be the backup. I know he's not going to go for being a backup. So the Steelers really said they want you. They made you an offer, and yet you're taking all this time to decide whether or not you want to sign. And I think that's what Aaron Glenn wanted to avoid. We don't have time for foolishness here. Like we're planning now. So if you're signing, you want to stay, that's great. Let's sign, let's move on and get ready for, a successful season, next season. And if not, let's go our separate ways. I think that's what Aaron Rodgers seemed like he doesn't really realize. The reason that I think it went the way it did is solely on him and what people probably have said and the way the seasons have gone, because nobody has time for the foolishness. You might not verbally, be saying, you might say, go ahead, Tom, and sign who you want to sign, but you know that they want you. And if you're not interested, and just say, I'm not interested, I'm going to take a year off and figure out what I want to do. But you are kind of holding them hostage in the same sense because you know who you are, what your resume entails, and they would rather have you than have, an unproven rookie. What do you guys think, though, about the tale that never ends? That is Aaron Rodgers. I look forward to reading your comments. And of course, I'll see you next video.